No, I'm just kidding. Hi, everybody, and welcome back. I'm better, but Neil's not. Neil, whose turn was it when I was hacking up a lung? Valorant had rolled in. Neil, it was your turn. You were trying to decide what to do. You probably forgot because you went off to get yourself food. What were you going to do with your turn, sir?
Don't forget. I've got aid another right now, so I just have to attempt to break a grapple and run.
Correct.
What is it? A CMB, CMD?
CMB to break grapple. CMD is what they attack as your defense. CMB is your bonus.
Well, let's try it then. +2.
From aid another, would you like to Twitch chat roll of luck it?
Yeah.
Ah, you do. There you are.
There you go.
All right,
Finally.
awesome. Somebody's talking about aid. That does not apply to this roll either way. From Twitch aid. So you were able to with your what is it? 12 plus 3 is 17. You're able to pull yourself free, rip yourself free from this creature's. No, you're not. The DC is actually an 18 for you to get yourself free. It still got you, boy. Yeah? No, you pull yourself free from this thing. You rip yourself free. Jake grabs you, pulls you out of the thing's tendril, out of its arms. Your leg pulled free from whatever that was that it was in beforehand. And you guys start stumbling backwards. Stumble backwards even to Val. Like, literally stumbling into Val. And, oh, what? What's going on? All flustered and kind of in the way or whatever. As the three of you then just kind of like, together move yourselves out of the tunnel and into like the area with the plumes of whatever had popped up beforehand, and with the plumes of dust and everything had popped up beforehand, but you had bumped into those pillows, and the ooze tries to like slime forward towards you guys, but those markings stop it from being able to come into the room, leaving it stuck inside the tunnel.
So it's in the tunnel. It can't come into the well, so to speak.
Correct. It's between the two little trap doors. One of them shut, the other one open, which leads inevitably out to the river.
Is it still on the floor? Is it attempting to like?
It will start making its way around, kind of like moving, trying to find its way towards you guys. It can perceive you. It just can't get to you.
Well, now's as good a time as any to attempt to feed the slime to it, I think.
Yeah, one's just staring at Valorant, and he like walks up to him and he grabs him by the robe, and he goes to hit him, but as Tesh isn't here and he didn't do that, I won't do that. But he's just like, "What is wrong with you? You had one job. One job."
I was a little distracted. I was looking at stuff, over the notes, making sure we didn't miss any details.
Rayron, can we throw him into the queue there?
We probably still need 3 people right now. Let's see. Now, what was it you did before, Aurorum? We should attempt to feed the slime to this thing. It's not affected by acid. It won't be corroded. It'll simply eat it all. Job done.
It just kind of like shrugs, kind of at a bit of a loss, trying to take in exactly what just happened because he's a little confused.
Okay, so we twist the other one back. I remember. And then we twist that one all the way. And then a little thing pops out and we twist it.
Yeah. That'll, yeah. Goes over and starts doing it, like realizing, oh, all right then. So you want to actually seal the door on the left and open the one on the right and cause all that to happen? So
no, we need to have the door open on the
left. Oh, so you want to filter it out? Okay, cool. So
you filter it into the thing's mouth because it's trying to get up to us because it knows where we are.
Oh, let me make sure I re-describe the scenario so it's nice and clear. So, obviously you guys are inside the room at the bottom of the tunnel. The tunnel itself is this huge, long pathway that has the runes that stop this small sludge creature from being able to come into the room with you, right? So it is inside the primary tunnel. Off to the right, there's a small alcove. The door is currently sealed with the crystal that produces the suction or blowing feature, the wind feature. Off to the left, there's a separate sealed door that you can open up that has the long tunnel that inevitably leads out to where the river is.
Okay, so
Currently,
this,
the left is open, the right shut. Mm-hmm.
the sludge creature is in the wellspring, so to speak. The well.
Yeah, inside the primary tunnel, correct.
Close the door then. We'll close all the doors and just leave it in there.
Okay. So it's now just stuck inside the primary tunnel, and that's in there. Perfect.
Cool. And then we just need to... Yeah, because there's a crystal there. The crystal is protected by runes. So we just need to open the other one. And it will suck it in. That thing might get sucked towards the crystal, but that's fine, in which case it'll sit there like an open maw and all the things will go...
Okay. So you do that, and so you just literally start like allowing it to start sucking, and unfortunately the whole tunnel is filled with that whole noise as it starts pulling the sludge back down. Eventually the sludge does get to this creature. And eventually it does, the first bit of sludge that comes up to it, there's this like strange goop on goop action that happens where some of the goop fills up into it. However, the sheer volume of this massive tunnel full of sludge that could fill that whole room up above is way too much for this little 3.5 foot diameter creature to do. I mean, there's dimensions to what this creature is, but you imagine it is way just not enough to be able to consume what that is. It eats some.
It's not actually infinite in the middle.
No. Kind of like how a bag of holding's not exactly infinite.
Presumably this creature digests and excretes. So if we just leave it here, it'll eventually eat all of it.
Potentially. Might take a couple 100,000 years.
On the other hand, this thing is full to the brim.
You imagine so.
Has its aperture closed? Is it like, no, I'm full now?
It doesn't seem to have any aperture. It is just a discus.
Yeah, an aperture. A hole.
It is just...
Okay.
It just is. I think Will right now is trying to build up for a trump card.
So... some of the volume has been taken away. He's now trapped in here. Elliot's upstairs thinking, what the hell is going on?
I mean, you guys have been down here for a long time. You never even got to the other end of this tunnel this time. And Valor will even ask you, did you get to the other end of the tunnel? Is that where this thing came from? And probably ask you a bunch of questions to which you irritatedly respond and give him all the information that you guys, of course, just experienced.
But obviously we spend a great deal of time explaining the fact that we just got attacked because the door was closed.
Mm-hmm.
Real emphasis on that.
I'm sure he feels super guilty. Mm-hmm. But...
so we can then... I mean... the problem is now we can't really do the other plan.
What's the other plan?
Which is just free it and hope that the slime will... I mean, unless it's one entity. Because the problem is now that if we release the slime out, it there's still some of the slime remaining in the keep. Inside little Mr. Tentacle Sludge Monster.
I mean, there's somebody that you can get information from. It's not going to be the meta DM, but or one who's just kind of like staring at you like, keep working through the process. But there is actual NPC that you can speak to down here.
Oh, let's go ask.
Not that asshole.
Yes, that arsehole.
He grabs a gallon of bleach and you guys start walking. So you guys go up to, go to speak with him again. And he's like, welcome. Welcome back. Which keep do we find ourselves in now?
Do you have any perception of time?
Oh, I'm sure at one point in time I did. But after all these years...
That's fine. I do. Okay. It's only been about an hour or two. The slime is prepped for expulsion. However, we weren't able to walk all the way down, so I'm not certain that there's something there to purify it. Do you think if I simply were to pull the filtering mechanism from the fountain now and place it in the wellspring, so to speak, it would filter the slime that is there?
Are you asking how it is that the slime that the water was filtered in the days of yore? That was done in the massive chamber above the tunnels. What it was is the rivers would run through here, and the tunnels were used in such a way to pull the water from the river, to capture it into the chamber overhead, and then a purifying feature would take place in the chamber overhead. The chamber acting as a bit of a basement to the whole keep that existed at one point in time in these lands. And then all of that would be forced back down and into the river. Whatever materials or magics or whatever were brought with it would allow for the purification to happen and affect all of the river, not just the small amount of volume forced in. And you realize that he's referring to where is that when you do the noise where it kind of goes into that chamber that you guys originally came into, that chamber that had all those ruins around the side that you didn't read. Yep, that's what he means by the purification. Clearly, the ooze has been up there before. Doesn't seem like it's been purified. But to be fair, maybe it's never been up there prior to you guys coming down. Maybe it takes a longer process than what that's asking for. Because you're not dealing with just water, right? Or maybe it ain't going to work. It's just not going to happen, and you're going to have to figure it out a different way.
So if we sploot all of that back up, I wonder if we sploot all of that back up, we can add the filtering mechanism from the fountain in there somehow, the problem is, I don't know. We could also want to tinker with just the suction crystal, so it just suctions water. And then all the detritus would stay up there as a very thin layer.
Val's like, tinker? We did see the workshop, so we know that there's a place where this kind of stuff can be done. However, I don't think any of us even have the most rudimentary understanding of how it is that we'd be able to do that kind of thing. Unless they train that kind of stuff in a Malta.
It's elementary, my dear.
The reference is lost on him.
Never mind. I mean, I'm not saying it would be easy, but it should be simple, in a way.
Deconstructing powerful magics bounds to a crystal that none of us have ever seen work in that way before. How do we get the crystal? With all that the powerful wind happening, how do we even get the crystal that is causing the suction and and blowing.
Yes, yes. One step at a time, perhaps. There's no point figuring out how to get it if we can't do anything with it. Perhaps we could add an additional crystal to it. There's a workshop capable of that. If you think it would be less difficult to adjust it than it would to tinker directly. Say we were to add a thin crystal over the front of it that would adapt its power so that instead of it being air that sucks everything, it sucks water. Presuming we can find an elemental crystal of the sort in the fountain, it must be attuned to water. I mean, it could either go bang or it could simply solve the issue.
Valorant turns to 1 and says, do you think we're overcomplicating this? If we're just going to end the curse, can't we just force it all out the tunnel and just have it be done that way? Or is that just making it too simple then?
One looks at Valorant and then looks over to Rayron and says, yes. Nods.
He provides all the input.
He has no idea what's going on.
Yep.
So,
You're the wizard people.
This is beyond 1.
You're the wizard people. Talk to you when it's time to pray.
On the other hand, Valrin, people could die. We have no idea what effect this sludge might have. If my theory is right, and it does simply dissipate as soon as it exits the keep because the curse that holds it together no longer exists, then that's fine. If that doesn't happen, however, we could result in dead people, poisoned people, dissolved people.
Then maybe we do another option. Because we're talking about tinkering with magics that are well beyond our means. And we're talking about maybe releasing some horrible evil that even if the curse is destroyed, because we did 3 of them at the same time or whatever, that maybe it ends up plaguing the countryside and then we have that blood on our hands. Maybe we just don't do this keep. Maybe we just do a different one. We already know where another one is.
Would be rather inefficient to leave without doing anything.
We did do something. We discovered how it works. We discovered what's here. I mean, we didn't really do anything back at the first keep, did we? We discovered that there were rooms full of, what we believe are rooms are full of undead things, and then walked away.
It's true. How do we get up, get out? Also, you're forgetting our mutual friends. There's one maid.
Huh. Oh, yes.
And Elliot is still up there.
Yeah. Forgot about them. Well, I suppose if we leave town, that's all the better. We just bring Elliot with us. That way, you know. He got himself into this mess to save our hide. Might as well bring him with us when we leave. I mean, we have a straight shot down the tunnel to the river, right? Can't we just travel along the river? We'll leave behind our one horse, and we'll just head straight back north along the river.
Very well. I think that's probably the best we can do for now.
Flee. It's probably the best idea that we've had in a while. So, for some reason, you keep popping out of Roll20, Neil. I don't know why. Like, I keep seeing your name pop, like, leave Roll20 and then rejoin. It's only your name that does it, though. So anyways, you guys kind of decide to just leave the keep then?
We should probably get Elliot and, yeah.
So there's only 2 ways out of this keep that you've been able to discover so far. One, the way you came in, which is there's a whole tunnel of sludge there, but you can easily push that back out. Not a big deal. But there's a whole room full of sludge upstairs. How do you get through a room full of sludge? How do you do that? How's it even going to happen? You don't know. And then the other option is to walk along that massive tunnel back to where the so you can leave the sludge up there, and maybe the filtration system works on its own. Maybe that actually works out. Yay! And the other thing is to go through to the end of that massive tunnel, and where the grate is on the other side.
Either way, we have to. We either have to expunge the slime up to the top, or we release it.
If you don't want to release it yet, because horrible things can happen, which it probably will, because we're not actually ending the curse until we do all three at the same time. Why don't we just leave it back up top?
Let's do that then.
And you guys do exactly that. As you push the slime back out the whole tube. I might enjoy that too much, Jake. And back into the huge chamber up above. You imagine the runes come back alive again. You see everything blink, blah, 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 blah. And it all opens up. You turn the other gate. That opens up the door. Now, here's the downside to the plan. I'll describe something and say, here's the downside to the plan. If you open up the door and the three of you go into the door to allow you to walk to the end of the tunnel, what if you have to come back?
Well, is there anything we can try and jam the door and see if it actually, we just wait on the inside and see if it holds?
Granted, he's weaker than you are, but remember, the door itself eventually just kind of forces itself shut, and he couldn't hold it. He couldn't fight against it. Eventually, it's nope, we're closing now, and it forces itself shut. Because it could have just been because he was too weak, or it could just be that thing is just incredibly strong. Last thing to note is that, remember the little goopy slime pit thing? That's not gone. That did not get forced back out by the air.
It didn't get blown.
Yeah, it stuck to the ground like a natural feature would be.
It can't close itself, right?
Correct.
It should have to make a Constitution save to not be sucked inside out. Because it's full of stuff that's being sucked out, which would leave a vacuum.
I can't remember what that's called when it's kind of the insides get kind of sucked out.
I don't know, but it would be degloved.
Yeah.
Potentially.
But anyway, so either way, that's all pulled that way. So it's still there. So Val, again, me role playing as him.
It doesn't try to hold on to its meal.
What?
It doesn't try to hold on to the slime, its meal.
I imagine it does try to, but you're dealing with an incredibly powerful force.
Yeah. Would it not go with it?
Nope.
It can't hold on to it.
It's a part of the feature. It's a part of the wall, as though it's a pit. Or at least that's what it looks like. How or why, you do not know. So anyways, you can so you're there. So the Valorant, just reiterating, just to keep things pushed along, and because we only have the 2 years at the moment. So he's like, so the plan is for us to all go through the gates, get to the other side, and hope we can find a way through.
My backpack and Elliot are both upstairs.
Well, we can make our way back around once we get out. Which, instead of all of us going back upstairs, we're going to have to kind of send one person.
The problem is that if the Thieves Guild spot us on the way down...
We have scrolls and whatnot of invisibility. We could send one person.
Would it not simply be easier to climb and shout?
Huh?
If we climbed up the tunnel, we know that the slime is not capable of penetrating the barrier there. We could simply shout.
Shout to who?
Elliot.
He would be through stone walls and a massive volume of sludge. I don't think he would be able to hear anything. I couldn't hear you guys through this wall right here.
Likely story, Bellerin.
He looks a little bashful, a little guilty.
That is true. I suppose we'll have to go round.
Also, the incline was pretty extreme. I don't know if we'd be able to climb up that.
Yes, we have pitons, rope, that sort of thing. Very well, I suppose we'll just have to leave it. The other problem is, before we simply go, we will have to make our way to the end of this tunnel, where there is a very fine iron grate. We will be pursued by that whole thing the entire way, we can presume.
What
I'm gonna
is?
get my crossbow out and just maybe take a shot at it.
Well,
Fun.
while you guys are talking about this, he says, "What is that thing?"
I
A
don't know.
hole
It's
Simply
a
on the floor.
moves
A hole?
Well, we both fell into it, and it feels very empty.
like your heart, Aurorum.
He chuckles at that, knowing that it's funny. He's like, if it's a hole, like an actual hole, like you could fall completely inside of it.
Jump in, have a look.
No. This might sound crazy, but here's my number. Call me maybe. No. He's like, this might sound crazy, but if you could go into it, could you, in theory, then come back out?
I
I
don't
mean-
know.
Yes, but perhaps you come out in the form of excrement once it's eaten you.
I mean, you're assuming that its digestion is fast. What if you can go into it and come out of it less than a minute later? Maybe seconds later. The thing moves like an ooze, right? Like these other things, these sludges, like a liquid. And you said there's a very fine grate at the other end of the tunnel.
Okay. What if it digests us? Acid has no effect on it.
Then maybe it doesn't have acid. Did you fought the thing? Did it burn? When you said you fell into it, did that burn?
No. However, its digestive space may not be full of gastric contents. Could simply be at the bottom.
Okay, then here's another thing to think about. Maybe its contents were completely empty before. Maybe that's a bad thing, right? If his contents were completely empty before, you could have just fallen into a massive pit where you'd never be able to find the hole back out. And so maybe digestion is kind of like that instead of a reptile. Just slowly digests you over the course of weeks or whatever it is. You could be alive for a considerable amount of time before you just suffocate, right? However, we literally just saw this thing get filled with the sludge from before. Maybe it's still filled with that sludge. You can almost use that to keep yourself suspended near the surface. It'd burn, but then you can climb back out.
The
Maybe
sludge
it's
that literally burned us.
That's why I said it burned, yeah.
It burnt really quite a lot, actually.
Don't we have like something to protect us against acid? We've got to have a potion or a scroll somewhere. Here, everybody check your packs.
No.
You're not going to check your pack?
No, I don't have anything like that.
I'm actually looking at his right now.
Neither do I.
Well, I do have a potion here that allows you to endure the elements. However, if I understand the spell well enough, I'm pretty sure it's more of like rain and
Acid isn't really an element.
yeah. You know, I was being, I suppose, hopeful with that one. He says this is kind of like slosh around the potion. You know what? I have another scroll here that could work to a degree or whatnot. Are you familiar with tensor?
Yes, vaguely. You're suggesting that we cast a floating disc inside and stand on that.
It would keep us near the surface.
I'm not really sure how a non-physical disc would interact with a extra-dimensional space.
Maybe we could just cut our way through the iron bars at the other end.
Fine, you've made your point. I guess we'll try that then. But
Are
you're
we
going
supposed to-
first.
get inside it and then hope it goes through the grate?
So we walk all the way up to the end. And then, yes, we hope it goes through the grate, I guess. As we've determined there's nothing alive in here, I guess it might go for a fish, cave bat, something like that. It certainly wasn't in the tunnel earlier, so it must be able to detect life in some way or another.
I mean, it's a plan. It's an incredibly risky plan, but
It's
I
a
don't know what
terrible
else we
plan.
have at the moment.
Terrible plan. It's Valren's plan.
I think it's kind of exciting.
Oh, do. I think me and Juan also found it exciting when that thing was clobbering us on the other side of that stone door that you were supposed to be keeping open.
He kind of like looks down and into his pack, like he was checking to see if there was a scroll he maybe missed.
Very well. You can attempt to cast the spell in there, and we can see what happens.
He does point out that one of the potions that you guys have just recently discovered is like, well, this one right here is to delay poison.
Acid isn't poison.
You know, I was being... We do have another one that allows us to fly.
That could be useful.
If on the... Inside this pit, we don't know what it's like inside this creature. Do you think if maybe a potion that allows us to climb on walls would help us to get back out much more easily?
Potentially spider climb would work. If it has walls. In the traditional sense.
When you say that part, if it has walls in the traditional sense, that's where he starts to see maybe the concerns of the plan. Like beforehand, he was just excited to have like a good idea, and now he's like,
What if we did it much simpler? We simply tied a rope to this iron grate. We bring down 60 foot of rope with us. We can almost certainly climb back out.
likes the idea.
Does anyone have any rope?
Yeah, of course. You also have things like
Mine is upstairs.
You also have things like oil of levitate and stuff like that as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's more than one way out of this thing.
Yeah.
I guess we'll try this.
So the rope and no magic.
The tensor's disc and the rope.
Oh, okay. Technically, the way Tensor's disc works is it has to float behind a person, which is fine because you just have, say, one hold on to the rope with Tensor's disc on him or whatever it is, right? And so on. So it's not the end of the world. All right, so let me just double check something really quickly. It is close range. Oh, 3 foot. Oh, maybe it doesn't have to fall behind you. That's actually different than what I remember it being. So you disc that follows you about and carries a load for you. You can hold up to 100, approximately 3 feet above the ground at all times. It remains level, fully otherwise directed. Links. If it's beyond range, or you try to take the disc more than 3 feet away from the surface. Oh, it can't go more than 3 feet above the surface. So it matters how low the actual pit is, how deep the pit is, because you don't know.
It's fine. We got 60 foot of rope. We're not going to just dive in there.
Yeah, that's true. Of course. So, all right, you guys make your way into, like, step through the crystal, the things. You open the door, step through where the runes are, kind of like run past the this pit as quickly as you can. Head into the tunnel. Eventually, the pit kind of slithers into the tunnel behind you. Then it's this long process where you guys can actually walk. Let's say 2 of you walk quickly to the other end of the tunnel, so you kind of like investigate the grate and whatever. And the final one of you walks much more slowly to continue baiting the pit towards the end as you go. When you get back to the other end of the tunnel, we'll say it's the 2 of you and Val's the one that's baiting. No, because you wanted Val in there to cast like detect magic and stuff like that before, right? So so Val can go in there and he can actually cast detect magic because that was your plan. I think you want to do it read magic, so that leaves one with the task of baiting this thing forward, which is funny because it really enjoyed one before. So you guys are getting to the other end. He has to detect magic, and you can definitely detect the presence of magic. You can actually see that as he's over there, he's detecting the presence. So one had noticed ages ago, because last time you guys came down here, I think it was one, maybe it was you, Neil. There was a natty 20 and had other bonuses or whatever it was, and got like a really, really, really high perception check. And I described
It was one.
and I described hearing the river on the other side and so on and so forth. But what he didn't notice, despite his like 28 or whatever he rolled, what he didn't notice was that there happened to be magic inlaid into the walls themselves. Because of the fact that he lacked the ability to perceive that sort of thing. So here on the other end, Valrin casts a spell to detect the magic, and... Sorry, not here, Tesh. And in looking at the magics that are there, he can actually see that the magics that are on the wall are transmutation magics.
Like I expected, transmutation. Okay, so it would potentially transmute the slime into fresh water.
Mm-hmm. Potentially. You don't know exactly what the magic does. So he informs you that there is transmutation magic happening here.
Or I wonder whether it's like, just to be sure, it's not like a transmute, like simple, like you just push your hand through it.
Nope.
Nope.
And there is the grates that's so thick that a halfling can only get maybe up to their forearm through it. So it's so thin, sorry, and they couldn't even get their elbow past it, as I was describing it before.
Let's tie the rope really nicely. We can loop it like through and through and through and through and through and like in and out and in and out.
Mm-hmm.
So there's absolutely no way it would come off.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess we just wait for that thing to arrive.
Okay, so eventually one gets close. Now, obviously, you guys want to do a bit of a test before you actually just make this plan fully go through. Does somebody want to jump in and with the plan of jumping in and back out, or how are we doing this?
Valorant can do that. It was his plan.
Agreed.
Suddenly, he's
If
feeling a
it's
little
safe
less
in there,
adventurous.
If it's safe in there, you can cast the spell, the disc, and then just stick a thumb out and we'll all hop in.
So I should just, like, jump in then?
You should hold on to the rope.
And just jump in with a rope then?
But, like, hold on to it quite close to... You want to abseil in. Have you ever abseiled? Probably not.
I don't know what that word means.
If you're scaling a wall...
I don't think you scaled many walls.
Just hold on to the rope about here, and then jump in and hold on to the rope really hard. Really, really hard.
I'll do the best I can, he says, and he grabs onto the rope, and it's one of those things where he, once again, like, thinks about all the spells that he has and thinks about all the scrolls and potions and everything, trying to decide if there's anything that he could possibly do to protect himself. And then you guys can more or less just see, as this thing's getting closer and the opportunity of testing is getting slimmer, he's just kind of just stalling for a minute there and continues stalling.
Neither of us are in any condition to jump in after the clubbing we've received, I'm afraid. Think about it this way. If you jump in, you won't get clubbed by those giant tentacles.
There's tentacles?
Yes.
And now all of a sudden his plan just seems to fall apart in his mind. It's like, oh my god, the tentacles are going to keep us in. This is the worst plan ever. Maybe we should just abandon this. Maybe this isn't a good idea. You know what? I think we should come up with another idea. Maybe we can just head back to the room down below, and we can just go out there and.
It's coming, Valorant. We're trapped here. There's no way out.
No, there's got to be another way. Maybe we just didn't notice the release to open the door from this side.
Be my guest.
Is the thing's like inching closer and closer?
10, 9, 8, 7.
No, I don't think this is a good idea. You know,
6.
Hold on. No, hold on. The counting isn't really helping. I don't know if
5.
this is... No, really, this... One, you've got to have another idea here.
It's not 1 yet, it's 4.
1, help me out.
3.
One will just like do one of those, like he goes to sneeze, he's like, achoo, and pushes him.
And he's like stumbles backwards and then falls into the pit. Ah! And you can see the rope gets all tense. And you can hear him go, I can't see anything. So I'm definitely not reading a scroll. But I'm here. And it's continuing to inch closer towards whoever's next closest up.
Shall we?
1 second. Rayrin would cut across his hand with the kukri and smear the blood on the other side of the bars.
Mm-hmm.
Our folks first.
Kind of laughs a little bit and he just grabs the rope and he's like, just like slides down.
So as you start trying to grab into the thing, its tendrils start to like come out and try to grab at you, but it notices you're just like climbing into its mouth. Imagine that. You're just like sitting there at dinner with your wife and kids, and all of a sudden, like, you know, your steak is just like, no, I got this. Oh. All right, then. Please.
I feel like I would run out of the house, leaving my wife and kids inside.
What? So you could be alone with the self-feeding steak? It's
No, I just need to get away from whatever's doing it.
Yep, this is possession. Goodbye. I'm going to the local church.
He said leaving my wife and kids.
Rayrin would hop in as well.
So anyways, so you go climbing down next, like up, and you go climbing in, and like your foot hits his face. It's kind of like, yeah, was your foot hit something? Like, what is this? And you're like stomping down with your foot a little bit. It's like, ah, ow, ow. Okay, I'm climbing down, and he's climbing down like lower and lower as you know you're in there. And it's continuing to inch forward. And as you go down there, I imagine you have Ray like hating this plan and like backing up as much as possible and like literally just like against the wall as best as he possibly can. And
Like,
just, like
feet up on the bars.
one of those like, okay. really hating Val at the moment. You know what I mean? Like, hopefully forward momentum keeps it going. Oh God. Okay. And it's like it literally goes underneath his feet, so it's actually starting to get, and he's like toe up, like on the bars, like climbing up to the best of his ability. And then finally, like, a tendril is like, ooh, more food, and then reaches out and tries to grab him, and this is when he'll like kind of drop down and hold on to the onto the rope, and you guys all start climbing down. So you guys climb down. As soon as you climb down, I need you to do me a favor. This is super important. I know it seems a little weird. Don't worry about why. Just ignore those details. Wait, why is that being weird? Hold on. Close. Open. Ah, there we go. I need you guys to highlight your mini and roll for initiative, please.
I knew this was going to happen. Well, if I'm going before Valorant, guess who's going to show? No, I can.
Roll poorly. Okay, I rolled poorly.
Same.
That means it goes to the PC.
I'm gonna push Valorant and say, "Long live the king."
All right, so Val, let's roll. See what he rolls. Oh, that was almost a 1. Oh, that was almost a 1. Okay, you guys actually all get to go first. So as soon as you guys climb into the pit thing, and you wait like what, 3 seconds, and you're like, go. Like, it was moving forward. It was already more or less cresting on the other side as you're like towing up on the bars or whatever. And then finally you just start climbing back out. Even though you're lowest in initiative, that's fine. We just stack it in such a way that everybody holds their turn until you go or whatever. Ray, it's your turn. Technically you're on a rope. You have to make a climb check. It's a very simple climb DC, but you still technically have to make it.
Oh no, this is the point where I roll a 1. Oh, it's not. thankfully. It's not.
You climb up and you grab the edge and you start climbing out the other side. And you actually roll high enough that you easily clear this thing. You're outside of it. And oh my God, it fucking worked. You're on the other side of the bars. You legitimately climbed out on the other side of the bars. You're safe. You can climb out, and you can even go so far as, it might be dangerous in a moment, we'll worry about that in a second. You can even go so far as to turn around and extend a hand out to help the next person out. Next person being 1. Make me a climb check. This is rolling so slow. With a +2 is a 15. You also clean climb out. You easily climb out, so on and so forth. The two of you are out there, and you're like, all right, come on, go on. And you're reaching down, trying to grab Valren's hand. There's a half a moment where you guys look at each other, and you think...
Just cut the rope.
Wouldn't it be funny?
And Valren gets the roll. God, there's like the slowest roll in the world. It is so slow. It is so slow. All right, so with you guys giving Aiden out there, that gives him a +2. That is not a clean pull out. We have to roll a pool of luck. So Val is going to roll a luck. Cancel. I can't. Can one of you guys roll it for me? Neil, do you want? No. Jake.
Neil can roll.
No, Jake. Come on, Jake. Oh, you got exactly what you needed. And in a DC 15, he also gets pulled cleanly out, which is funny. Because on the creature's turn, as a move action, it has the ability to more or less sphincter shut its opening. Sealing you guys in there and causing the digestion to begin.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it can close its mouth.
As a move action on its turn, it can. But it has a terrible initiative. So you guys all beat it in initiative, and you all climbed back out before it could spend its move action to do that. So actually, you got out on the other side. You're completely free and clear. It's its turn. It doesn't close its aperture. Instead, it's going to attack with one of its tentacles. You know what? The last one out was Val. We'll attack him. Just to, keep things even. I easily hit him. Hitting Valren for 5 points of damage. Dropping him down to only 3 HP. And I'm going to make my grapple check. If I automatically grapple him, I'm going to start trying to pull him back in. Because he's got a really low CMB. Let's see what I roll here. God, this is moving everything's moving so slow for me on roll 20.
I know, it's weird, isn't it? He is holding onto some rope.
Well, he would have let go of the rope. Well, yeah, well, you guys are also holding him or whatever. Either way, it grabs him and starts pulling him back in. His body, similar to like before, is like half pulled into the thing. It's now Valren's turn. Val is going to try to like kick and scream and pull himself out. So he's going to CMB his way back out. Val, with his +0. God, it's rolling so slowly. It's like torture, watching the die roll that slowly. It's not even worth throwing a luck die on there. It's just too low. That's what Valren does in his turn, try to kick and scream and pull himself back out. 1, it's your turn. What do you do?
1 just says, try and help him out, and he's just going to try and attack it.
Sure, make an attack roll, sir.
We did hurt it, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a +1 on it as well. 20.
You hit, sir. Would you like to roll your damage?
Josh says turn off the 3D dice and then turn them back on again.
Oh, you think that'll fix it? Sure.
He didn't say to turn it back on, but I mean it fixes everything, right?
Yeah. Just turn it off and turn it back on again. So 9 points damage. Funny enough, this thing has 25 health points, and last combat you did a total of 21 to it. So you actually
it's just gonna disappear, and half of Valren will go with it.
Well, but what was actually funny is last time, like when you guys were fighting it, like there were 2 rounds of combat left, and you chose to just straight stop attacking it, and I was like, oh, that's funny. Maybe I can have fun with this in the future. And we did have fun with it in the future. So you take your axe, you bring it to bear, and you chop into this thing, and all of a sudden, you can almost feel like as you hit it, the thing kind of like bubbles for a second and then stops moving. And you can see Valoran's eyes go from like a moment of relief to all of a sudden like looking at you, the panic look in his eyes and getting super wide. Like, ah! Like as he feels something not right beneath him and around his body and everything down. There's like, like reaching for you guys to grab him. I imagine both of you grab an arm and you start pulling him out as all of a sudden literally the bottom tip of his shoe, like right where his like last little bit of his shoe would be pulled out, like that right where his toes are, it's like disappears, cut off. And you can like see like his big toes like exposed. Kind of like wiggling. It's like the extra dimensional space that it opens into just seals up.
If only we'd done that while it was full of slime.
Yeah.
Well, that worked. What an excellent plan.
Quite.
Right, I'm just gonna...
So,
Let's go see where we are, hey?
yes, Rayron would strike up a light.
It's not. I tried to turn it off, turn it back on. That didn't quite work. I'm gonna try to reset the this thing. So my apologies. You turn on the light. You said.
Yeah,
I was distracted by the dice.
Whoop, light spell.
Okay, and all of a sudden the whole cave lights up a bunch more, and you guys are able to see inside there. The cave itself is not particularly bright. It's just not. However, there is something inside the cave that is a little concerning. Roll me perception checks.
God damn.
Much better that time. I think you guys just need a refresh.
God. Scott.
Yeah.
Is your name Mattis? What are you doing?
I have hiccups.
What?
Am I not allowed to have hiccups?
No. You're a professional streamer. They don't have bodily functions.
Oh, okay.
Another one.
Is that how it works?
You did call yourself one, to be fair, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, that was turned out to be the worst choice I've ever made.
Let me roll Valorant's. So I was just in the middle of like resetting. I know you guys can't see the rolls at the moment because I have to fix OBS because I was resetting. Where's Val's perception? And bam. Yeah, I'm rolling so much better. That's sexy. 24. Actually, it's Val that like gets pulled out and he's like free and clear for a second, and he's like relaxed for just a moment, and then all of a sudden he's like, guys, and then immediately after his Rayron sees what he's pointing to, there's more of those little pit slimes around you inside of this cave. For whatever reason, there's a bunch of them here, and freaking out for the moment, everybody just gets up and I imagine runs out of the cave as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And when you do so, it brings you back to the shore along the river that's just north of where Hodgrun is. And so you guys are finally outside and exposed. Now, from here, unless you guys have any conversation with one another, anything particular that needs to be said? No? Okay. So I imagine it's one of those moments where nobody wants to acknowledge the fact that his plan worked, even though it was absolutely brilliant.
Rayron's already commented on how good a plan it was. Thank you very much.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear that because I was fixing the dice thing. I was just distracted like a bad DM. Okay, cool. Let me get back in my chair. So you guys go back out there. You commented on how good the plan is. He's thankful. He's appreciative. But, he's actually kind of a humble person. So you guys make your way back out. And then how are you going to go around to get, what's his name, into your pack? Are you just going to make stealth checks,
I would
sir?
suggest that one of us go in and we can try and disguise them. I mean, Valoran has that belt that makes him be able to sound like somebody else. So if he, got a big cloak on or something, pulled the hood down, I don't know, tried to look like somebody else, he could go and get Elliot.
It's totally an option. You want him specifically to be the one to go do it?
I mean, he has that belt, so if anyone talks to him, not that it would really make a big difference, but he could sound like somebody else.
So since Valorant is effectively an NPC this turn, and that is definitely an NPC, that all more or less just happens off camera. You guys are kicking around down there, trying to rest and relax for a minute, maybe get a small bite to eat out of one's pack, since Ray left his behind. And eventually, He's gone for maybe another hour or so. It's getting pretty darn late in the day with how much time you guys spent doing this. And eventually, the two of them come back. Come back down there. You see that, what's his name?
Elliot.
Elliot, thank you. It's like, pull up his character sheet. You see that Elliot is genuinely like surprised and happy to see you guys down here. And so when he comes approaching you guys, he's like, well, that is certainly a bit of a tale that I've just heard told. And you climbed through the creature.
Through is perhaps climbed in and sort of hoped for the best.
Is there any way to get a better description than what Valrim was trying to tell me of what this thing looked like?
It was a sort of, imagine this section of ground here. Imagine there's a circle about yay big, just darkness within, and from within it protrude a couple of sort of tentacles that look more slimy than physical. It was all dark. It was all black. When you fell within, you could feel your legs pedaling, and inside it was pitch black darkness, nothing.
You can see he's taking notes of what it is that you're describing, so that so you can see that he's taking notes of what you're describing to try to keep track of how it is that this thing looked and so on and so forth, and even puts together it's a very crude but quick little sketch. You know how somebody that happens to be decent, not a particularly good artist, but decent at artwork, can kind of whip up something quick enough that you're like, yeah, you get the basics idea of it or whatever. And he does that and he shows it to you, and he starts keeping note of this stuff, and he's like, this is absolutely brilliant. And keeps track of that, and he's like, so I suppose it's just to get my horse then.
About that. We can't really risk going back in case the less than friendly elements in the city notice that we've surfaced.
So what you're saying is I'm leaving my horse behind and we're trekking this on foot. Where is it exactly that we're going?
You're welcome to head back for the horse. I won't stop you. I would advise you against it. We're going to head all the way up the river to the north. Probably stop off at Reed for a night, perhaps. There's another keep at the end of the rivers. Or the source, I suppose, actually. The source of the river.
A little upset that, the horse is being left behind, but obviously not going to cry over spilt milk in this, effectively in this scenario. He just kind of agrees, and it's just like, you guys can kind of head out from there. Imagine you describe everything a bit more and so on, but really there's no big RP that needs to happen with him at this point, because you're kind of just describing stuff and he's taking notes, and you can see he's kind of like doing a lot of writing about everything that you've described until this point, blah, 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 right? So you guys start your trek back up to where Rid is. I don't know if you recall, but it is a bit of a trek. Like a day and a half or so it took you to get there, 2 days or so it took you to get there, and so you are making that trek back out to Rid. Along the way, anything particular that jumps out that you want to take care of, or no, not really?
Not really.
Okay.
For me, anyway.
Cool.
I think seriously there would be a small discussion with Valren about the fact that we could have both died, because he's curious, and that if he needs to look at stuff, perhaps he should let us know, and we can do that, set aside time for that when it doesn't threaten us.
To him it's one of those, he agrees with you and feels a bit sheepish about the fact. You can clearly tell it's one of those, he's probably thought about it before, he's probably already beating himself up about it beforehand, but you don't know if this conversation is actually going to have a lasting impact on whether or not this is likely to happen in the future. It's kind of like, it just seems to be one of his character flaws. Just likes to satisfy his curiosity, maybe a little too often. So you guys continue to trek back to Rid. When you get back there, you remember exactly how boring this place is. and are able to spend your night. Again, if I remember correctly, there are no inns here, so you're actually spending the night in somebody's like barn or no.
No, we go back to that.
Yeah, there was none.
That bar
Yeah.
or whatever. It wasn't in
Yeah.
somewhere we could stay, but we just like stayed there.
Yeah, he just made it happen.
Yeah.
Which is pretty funny. So you go back there, and the bartender's actually almost happy to see you guys return, because you actually bring value, to the bar. You actually spend money and whatnot. So he's actually happy to see you return. So anyways, that's what you guys end up doing and get your way back there. Yay. From here, why don't we actually take another quick little break, and we'll come back with you guys trekking north from Rid after spending, we'll say, 2 days rest, because I want to describe everything that transpired in these days that are passing in a moment. But first, let's take a break, and I'll come back and we'll deal with that, okay? Be right back. Bye.